Yo, what's up people? So this is the second part of me showing you my most favorite knives of 2021. I hope these videos are not too long and not really boring. I started to drink in between the first one and the second one, so this might be a little bit more interesting or a complete shit show, I don't know. My only fear is, because usually when I start to drink alcohol, I lose the few English skills that I have completely. So I might speak, you know, over the video, I might speak less good English. I don't know, does this make sense? Whatever. Either way, let's just start. The first, actually not the first knife, the seventh knife on my list is, and like I said, these are in no particular order. But the next knife is just another Spyderco. It's one of my most used Spydercos, the Spyderco PM2. The Spyderco PM2 has been around for a really long time. This has been praised as one of the absolute best folding EDC knives of all time. I personally do think that the PM2 has a lot of issues. I think they should update it at some point because it definitely deserves it. One of the issues that I have with the PM2 is that the handle scales are a little bit boxy. So if you're harder using this knife, the handle scales really start to be uncomfortable, especially this corner right here opposite of the compression lock. By the way, the compression lock is just a really nice locking system. I think it's very fidgety, strong, and easy to use at the same time. And I know a lot of left-handed people that are able to use the compression lock on the right-handed PM2 as well. I think it's just a good locking system designed by themselves. So yeah, the PM2, I like to use this quite a bit. I have nicer knives in my collection. Like for instance, I have this modded out Para 3 right here, which looks really nice. We have these aftermarket skinny mod micarta handle scales, really beautiful. The whole knife looks really beautiful, but in the end, I still gravitate towards the PM2 a lot more. I think this is just, probably again, the size to me is just better. I like to use this more, and it works really well. Yeah, the grind on the PM2 is not the best, at least from factory. Also, this one that I have has been resharpened like I think 20 times at least at this point. Resharpened this a lot, and at this point it's very thick behind the edge. So I also convex the edge. By convexing the edge, you can actually remove a little bit of material from the side and make it cut a little bit better. And yeah, I use this at work a lot. Open zip ties with this and break down boxes basically. CPMS 30V again on this one. And this one has been used so much, it's completely scratched up. As you can see, the screws are worn down quite a bit. I have replaced the pocket clip at some point for this deep carry pocket clip. This is actually my third clip or so on this knife. Have been using a bunch of clips, one that break, one that wore down completely, and now I have this. This one is a Lynch clip, I think. I don't even remember. I think it's a Lynch clip, yeah. This one is not as long on this knife, as you can see by the finish. I also put this titanium backspacer from Flytanium in here at some point. That way I can use it as a pommel, as a striking point, without hitting the barrel sprays all the time. I don't strike as many things usually, but sometimes it's just, you know, I don't know, crack open a walnut, I don't know. Sometimes I do use the pommel of my knives to strike onto things, to pound on things. And I also like the closed construction a little bit better than the open construction. And yeah, the PM2, just a classic Spyderco at this point. Also, I really like it, and despite all its flaws, I'm thinking about getting a Kruger Spyderco with the micarta scales and the full liners, which is Is it a sprint run? I'm not sure if the Curva micarta is a sprint run or not. I don't think so. I think it's not a sprint run. I had a Rex 45 PM2 in the past, and I really regret selling this because Rex 45 is just an amazing steel. Yeah, but this one was my first PM2, so I'll always keep this one around because it has kind of sentimental value at this point. Now, the next knife is another fixed blade. I've been using fixed blades quite a bit this year. This is another cold steel without the factory sheath. There's another aftermarket sheath because I don't really like the factory sheath. This is the cold steel Warcraft Tanto medium. This is no longer in production actually. This is one of the few cold steels that actually has been made in Italy, and it's CPM 3B steel, flat ground. Yeah, Tanto blades are kind of controversial to some people. I do actually kind of like Tantos at this point. I do really enjoy using them. This one is I'm not sure in which category this would fall in. This would be a really good soldier knife because it's really tough and sturdy and still relatively lightweight. I have been using this in the wood quite a bit, and I found out that it actually chops decently well. I didn't really expect this blade shape to perform that well in the woods. I have an entire video on this knife if you want to see it a little bit more in use. Yeah, 5mm thick blade stock, very thick all the way up to the tip, and then it tapers down. It has this beautiful distal taper, tang, G10 contoured handle scales, kind of a knife that puts you in a saber grip. Like most cold steels, they're designed for the saber grip. They want the martial side of the blades to be shown a little bit more. And yeah, really good knife overall. Really enjoyed it. Like I said, Tantos are controversial. Probably not the best blade shape overall, and not my most favorite blade shape, but I did enjoy using it, so it's on this list and it deserves to be on this list. Yeah, the next one is a folding knife, a traditional folding knife that I was rewatching before I made the second part. I was rewatching the part number 1, and I kept saying like the word knife like a bazillion times. Really annoying. I'm sorry for that, but yeah, whatever. This one is a traditional Italian knife. This is a patata design. If you don't know what a patata design is, it's basically a knife that has, I keep saying it, it's basically a blade that has the belly further in the back, so the entire curved edge is in the back, and then it has this very aggressive angle towards the tip, and then the tip is fine and precise. Super nice blade shape. If you think about it, a lot of Spydercos are built that way in terms of their edges. They have the curved edge in the back, and then they go very quickly towards the tip. And I also believe Spyderco has picked up on the patata design in the past at some point. Nowadays, there are not really a lot of knives in this design around anymore. I think Extrema Ratio makes the Risolza, which is kind of the same style of blade. But other than that, only Italian traditional blades are around. I'm not really into the Italian traditional knife game. I'm more of an American traditional knife user, or traditional French knives. I really like the French knives as well. Yeah, but this one is beautiful and interesting to say the least. In this case, we have the pre-G10 handle scales, which is buffalo horn. Very beautiful as well. You can see a little bit of the black in the horn here. They feel really nice. 3D contouring, a lot of 3D contouring going on. And then we have this very beautiful back spring. One thing I do really like, and I do actually prefer over the French traditional knives, most French Laguiole knives, for instance, they have a lot of file work over the entire back spring and over the entire blade. as well, and I do think sometimes it's a little bit too much. The way it's done here, it's a little bit more settled, it's a little bit cleaner, and it gives you just a hint of what's possible, and I do really like that it's not completely done over the entire back spring. I think it looks really beautiful. This is a slip joint, obviously. Walk and talk is pretty loud for a slip joint. This really slams shut, but this knife does not hit the back spring. This is usually just an issue on French knives. Italian traditional knives don't seem to have this issue most of the times. I think the steel is 12C27. Honestly, I forgot what the steel is and I don't really care. I just know that it sharpens up easily and takes a nice edge and holds a good edge as well. I really like to use this in the kitchen. This is just a beautiful knife. You can use the belly to cut like this and then use the precise tip to cut like this. It just works extremely well. I have been loving this year. I used it probably every single day in the kitchen. Yeah, really enjoyed this. I'm gonna check out more Italian traditional knives because they have some promising designs. Now, the next knife is another fixed blade that I have been carrying for EDC. I've been trying out new things this year. EDCing fixed blades was not a thing that I did regularly. Now I'm actually doing this quite a bit. Before I show you the knife, I will show the sheath because the sheath is pretty interesting as well. This is a winkler knife and the sheath is made from Kydex and has a micarta spacer. I have never seen this before, that somebody put a micarta spacer in a Kydex sheath, and then the sheath is also leather lined like on the custom that I showed you before, so that the knife goes in and out of the sheath extremely silent. And again, this helps to not scratch up the blade, which is pretty cool. It also comes with that clip, which is also pretty nice. You can carry that on your belt, but I carry it inside the waistband most of the times. I found out that with some of the fixed blades over 4 inches, it's a lot easier to carry them inside the waistband, and I do have actually adjusted to it. It's kind of a no-brainer for me at this point. Yeah. Now, what's the knife? The knife is a winkler designed by Mr. James Williams. It's called the Hiratsukuri Kaiken, and this is one of the fixed blades, or one of the knives in general, that has a ton of soul in it. It just feels really natural to pick this up and use it. I have been really enjoying this. This is inspired, I guess all the James Williams designs are inspired by traditional Japanese fighting knives. A Hiratsukuri Kaiken is basically a smaller Tanto, a smaller traditional Tanto. You probably already know that the Japanese had Tantos with 2 points, but most of the times they had Tantos with just 1 point. And the point was trailing up a little bit, so you have a longer cutting edge that way, and also you get that curve, and it's a very natural blade shape. It feels extremely nice to use this. And this has been an all-rounder for me personally. I use this to do almost everything. I do love this blade a ton. The blade length on this is 11.5 centimeters, so 4.5 inches. It feels a lot smaller than it actually is. Maybe this is because of the shorter handle. Green canvas micarta handle, cross pattern, and then this intense call it jimping that you don't really feel. It's not really sharp at all because the handle is so well contoured. You don't really feel it unless your hand tries to slip up towards the blade, which doesn't really happen. I use this knife in wet and cold conditions, and the micarta really grabs you, so you don't. I don't really have a concern that I will ever slip up on the edge. Yeah. So yeah, really nice handle. I love green canvas micarta. Micarta is just a beautiful handle material, I think. carbon fiber pins on this one. The cool thing about carbon fiber pins is that if you have steel pins and you put the knife under stress, the steel pins could theoretically, it never happened to me, but theoretically they could break the handle, whereas the carbon fiber will flex with the handle scales and won't break as easily because it's also lightweight at the same time. Lightweight and strong. Carbon fiber pins are just a really nice thing. ADCRV2 steel on the blade here. ADCRV2 in my opinion is just a better carbon steel, tough carbon steel for fixed blades than 1095. It has more edge stability, and I also think it takes the edge a little bit nicer than 1095. It will rust on you though, for sure, at some point. I found with my carbon steels, as long as you keep using them, rust is really not an issue because the surface rust will scratch off as you cut. But if you have a knife sitting in one place for a really long time and you don't use it, then that's where usually rust becomes an issue. But yeah, flat ground blade in this case, very wide edge bevel as you can see. Winkler knives are not done to the absolute perfection. They are not super clean. Not everything is done perfectly, but they just feel really nice. And like I said, they have a ton of soul in them, which is part of the beauty. Yeah, as you can see, I have a ton of scratches in the, I think that's an acid wash that they put on here to keep the knife from rusting as easily. Yeah, I have been using this quite a bit, and this is probably even the most favorite knife of 2021. I just love this, and I don't know why. It's just it feels so good to use this. So yeah, the hiratsukuri Kaiken. Now the next one is another Spyderco. I have really been enjoying, let's put this over here, I really have been enjoying the Spydercos in 2021. Spyderco is, yeah, probably even my most favorite knife company, folding knife company at this point. I think they make really good stuff. Like I said, I have been trying new things, tried to carry to EDC fixed blades this year, and I also tried to try out new blade shapes. And one blade shape that I really didn't like in the past is the Warcraft blade shape, and I kind of wanted to change my own mind, which is why I bought a Warcraft Spyderco. And because I like the larger knives, I also picked one of the larger knives they have, which is the Spyderco Yojimbo. The Yojimbo is not just a bigger version of the Yojimbo. In my opinion, it's a kind of a different knife, but it's also a really crazy knife. It's crazy big and it looks interesting, to say the least. A Michael Yannick design. He's another one of the self-defense guys. He likes to design martial blades, which there is nothing wrong with it per se. I do like to use this for EDC tasks though. A relatively thick spine, and then we have a hollow grind. The hollow grind doesn't run up too far, so it's not the best slicer, but it has a very precise tip. A lot of straight edge in this knife. Really coarse G10, extremely coarse G10 actually. I had to smooth down the G10 underneath the clip because it was so abrasive on the pockets of my pants, and full blacked out liners and standoffs here. It's actually the first Spyderco that I have seen this on. The Yojimbo is a crazy knife, but I really have been enjoying this. And I kind of warm up to the Warcraft. I still prefer clip points and draw points like always, but Warcrafts are kind of cool to use. I'm not sure if I will leave this hump in the handle. I might actually remove this because it kind of forces you into position, and this makes a lot of sense for a self-defense knife, but for EDC I like to be a little bit more, have a little bit more freedom of where I place my hand. And yeah, CPMS 30V on this one as well. And yeah, the Spyderco Yojimbo is just crazy, and I absolutely love it for that, because it's just different. Now, I actually only have one more knife for you guys, and it's another fixed blade. Like I said, I've been using the fixed blades quite a bit again. I cannot really show you the sheath that I have it in. I'll give you just a hint very quickly, and that's it. And onto the knife. This is a big, heavy, not really heavy, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But it's a big and hefty Bowie knife. It's made by Cold Steel again. The Cold Steel Trailmaster in semi-free. I absolutely love this knife. The Trailmaster has been around for a long time, and the semi-free version was on my list also for a long time. This is made in Seki City, Japan. Has this really beautiful clip point with the continuous, slightly curved cutting edge, and then comes to a really nice fine point and this long swedge, and then an 8mm thick blade stock. So really thick boy, and the blade length is 24 centimeters, which is what's that, 9.4 inches? Yeah. We have the coffin shaped handle wrapped in craton, which is kind of this rubbery material that isolates the cold pretty good as well. Semi-free is a stainless. I think it has a VG10 core, and then a little bit of a softer steel on the outside. Or is it a VG1 core? I don't really know. I did forget. But it has basically, it's a laminated steel, so it has the harder steel on the inside and the softer steel on the outside. So it has both the edge retention and toughness. And it is pretty tough. I did baton chop with this knife quite a bit. Holds up pretty good. I have a couple of scratches in there now. But at least I'm not babying it anymore. Once I got the scratches in the blade, I don't really care anymore and just use it. I went for the semi-free version because I wanted the stainless one. Like I said, I don't really care if a knife is carbon steel or stainless, but sometimes, I guess sometimes I do care. But yeah, the Trailmaster has been made in the 01 steel in the past. I like 01 steel, but 01 steel is also kind of a pain to keep the rust off. You really have to be treating it well. And then they started making the Trailmaster in A2 now. The A01 and A2 were flat ground. The semi-free is completely convexed all the way from the spine. Sorry, I have a couple of issues with the focus here, but the semi-free is convexed all the way from the spine down to the cutting edge. Really crazy sharp out of box. This is like extremely sharp with this full convex grind. Yeah, just a beautiful knife. The sheath that it comes in with is not the greatest for the money that you pay for this knife, but it actually works okay. I did expect that this sheath would actually work much worse, but it did fine. Either way, I did replace it with a Kydex sheath, but yeah. The Trailmaster is just beautiful and a lot of joy to use. I'm thinking about getting the Recon Scout, which is the shorter Trailmaster basically, but I'm not sure because the prices on the Cold Steel Bowies have went up quite a bit. I'm not sure if they keep making the semi-free version, and I'm not sure if they still have the A2 version. I think they might even have switched to CPM3V, which is very good. CPM3V is a fine steel, but they have also upped the prices quite a bit since the GSM Outdoors brand bought Cold Steel. The Bowies have been getting more rarely and also more expensive. So yeah. What a nice knife to end this video with. Guys, I hope you had a lot of time to spend with your family over the Christmas holidays, and I hope you celebrate New Year's Eve, or I hope you can celebrate, because some people have really hard restriction because of the whole COVID thing. Hopefully you can start 2022 nicely, I guess. Hopefully have a good start in the year, and yeah, I wish you guys the best. Stay safe out there, and we might see each other in another video. Goodbye, people.